Now, we all know who Maker's Mark is. They've been around for a long, long time and one of the most iconic names in the bourbon industry. But I have to admit, I'm not the biggest Maker's Mark fan out there, although I do like a lot of their specialty offerings. And they do have a new bottle out in the wood finishing series called the Heart Release. Let's get into this bottle and see if it pulls me in a little bit more into Maker's Mark. I'm Tuck, and this is Bourbon Bro. In the fall of 1953, a gentleman by the name of Bill Samuels Sr. purchased Burke's Distillery in Loretto, Kentucky. Now, Bill set out to create a very, very unique mash bill, which he did. It has 0 rye, mostly corn, obviously, since it's a bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn. The other grains included malted barley, and the other primary grain in the mash bill was soft red winter wheat. And this created that profile that Maker's Mark is still known for today. But those aren't the only components that go into the flavor profile of this bourbon. Let's talk about a few of those. Maker's Mark is very unique in the fact that they are the only distillery with their own water source. The distillery is actually set up next to a limestone shelf, and when that water runs through that limestone, it actually filters out the iron in that water, leaving a very rich calcium and magnesium-based drinking water, which also makes a very nice sour mash as well. Now, when it comes to the barrels at Maker's Mark, before anything else, the barrels are seasoned, which means they sit outside in the elements for a period of 9 months, including one Kentucky summer. After that, all of the barrels are sent out for firing in their designated char level. Now, once the barrels are filled and they're in the rick houses, all of those barrels are hand rotated on a consistent basis, so all of the barrels are exposed to the different temperatures within that rick house to keep that consistent flavor. Now, here's my absolute favorite part of the Maker's Mark story. While Bill was busy getting that unique mash bill together, there was a genius behind the scenes, and that was his wife, Marjorie. She was the one that came up with the Maker's Mark name, the idea for the square bottles, that iconic red wax dip that we all know today, and the labels, which are still used today, and they are still cut on a hand-operated Chandler and Price 1935 printing press. Pretty freaking cool. She is also credited with the invention of bourbon tourism. Hats off to you, Mrs. Samuels. Well done, well done. Well, I think it's about time we get into this bottle right here. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see how it is. Now, I thought Maker's Mark had completed their wood finishing series, but I guess this is the second chapter of that. And it does say on the side of the bottle that it's 1 of 5. So obviously there's 4 more coming out as well. And it does also stay on here that it's 10 virgin toasted French oak staves that went into the barrels on these. And the name, the Heart Release, actually is an ode to the workers in the heart of the distillery. And that's where the name came from on this. It's 111.7 proof. I could not find an age statement on it, so I'm not exactly sure what that is. And it has a suggested retail price of $75. Let's see if it's worth it. On the nose, I am getting just a little bit of chocolate, not like a chocolate candy. It's more of like a dusting, like a cocoa powder is more how I would reference that. Definitely some like maple a little bit in there, or I would say some like caramelized brown sugar on that. Also a little hint of caramel as well. Caramel, 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 caramel. You know what I mean. Let's see what it's like on the palate. You know, it has a very nice little spice to it. Not overwhelming, but a very nice spice on that. It's not that overwhelming wheat taste like that's on a lot of Maker's Mark products. That's kind of what turns me off on a lot of their stuff on this, but I don't get that on this at all. I still get that slight hint of chocolate on there and that maple and caramel. It's actually pretty good. I actually like this. That finish isn't real long on there, but you still get some of that spice that comes back on the back of the palate. on there in the finish that's actually pretty pleasant. I like that. I think if you're a Maker's Mark fan, you're going to love this bottle. Again, like I said, I'm not a huge Maker's Mark fan, but it's a good sipper. It's a very good sipper. I could see, sitting this winter in my theater room watching some old 1940s movies, sipping on this all night. It would make for a pretty nice evening. I would also offer this to some friends of mine that are just getting into bourbon and are just getting acclimated to drinking it neat, because it's not going to overpower them, and choke them, get them coughing everything up and anything like that. It's actually pretty smooth with a slight spice on that on the back end. I like it. Now on the price on this, $75. I wish it was a little less, more in that $55, $60 range. It would make it a little bit more appealing to me. Would I pay $75 again for it? Maybe. I mean, if I was out of this bottle and I was at a liquor store looking for something, couldn't really find anything, and I saw this in there, it was $75, I would probably say, yeah, I'll grab another one. So, I mean, it's not something that just, overwhelms me or anything like that, but it's a decent pour. It is a very decent pour. Yeah, I like it. Worth the $75. Iffy on that. I'd like to see it just a little bit less. But again, I'm not a huge Maker's Mark fan, but for a Maker's Mark bottle, I like it. So that's it for tonight. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything at all, and it really helps me out with my channel. If you want to check out some Bourbon Broke merchandise, just go to bourbonbroke.com, go to the store, and as always, everything has free shipping on there. That's it for tonight, and remember, keep your friends close and your bourbon closer. Cheers.